he made punting the ball a science. You know, he literally changed games with his ability to pin people inside the 20-yard line in the National Football League.
Ray Guy was baseball, basketball, track, and his big success with football.
He made it look easy. Some things that we felt like we had to work on, practice-wise, repetition, doing the same thing over and over, getting it right, you know, be in the right position, in the right place, at the right time. It just seemed like Ray just was able to flow with the part of the game that he was always in the right position at the right time. I don't know, and I'm sure sometimes he didn't grade 100% on a play, but there wasn't many. I mean, he was just a natural athlete that was able to look at the situation, assess where he needed to be, and he would get there.
I had an opportunity to coach a fine young man, but without a doubt, Ray was the greatest athlete that I've ever had the privilege of coaching.
Yeah, I was born in Swainsboro, which pretty much I don't remember anything about Swainsboro. It seems later on in my years as growing up and getting older and all that, we moved around a lot, I know that. Of course, Dad was in the building business and wood business and all. He'd done a lot of things, you know. But where I really, I guess you might call it, started to see my life was in Thompson. It was right outside of Thompson there. So I actually went back, I guess it was been 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and doing a documentary with the NFL Network. And I took them back to where I started remembering things about being young and not even in school yet, I hadn't started school yet. And I took them back to that house that I was raised up in that number of years, maybe about 3 or 4 years. And then everything from my past started to come back. It's like when I drove up to through the driveway and down to the house and all that, and where I lived out there right outside of Thompson. And Al, my brother, was there too. And we could only walk a little bit into where the driveway was. Everything came back up. I mean, you could just see the house. You could see the barn. So it's been great going through this phase of reminiscing back in your early childhood. What did you do? How did you get from there to here? So it's been a blessing for me, but now I remember everything, so now it's easy for me to tell where I came from. Pretty much the farm was almost a self-containing benefit for the family. Now there were some things we had to go buy, but majority of it, I'd say 3/4 of it or more, we actually produced it right there within that soil. So, and we had a job to do, and Dad expected you to do it. I mean, yeah, you could do other things, but you had your chores to do. Once your chores are done, then you can do what you want to. So, you know, Dad was never an athlete. He didn't play football. He didn't know what football was. He didn't know what sports were. You know, so technically we were really fortunate enough to be blessed with some type of gift. And it's not only in sports, but it was typically everything we tried to do. Dad was almost like, you know, self-containment. You learn how to do things. You be your own self. And it was like, if you can't do it, then go ask somebody to do it, help you. And I am still to this day, I'll be 65 in December. I hate to go ask somebody to help me do something, because I'm gonna do it first. I'm gonna find some way to have it done. Of course, I'm getting older now, it's a little bit different, but we were pretty much self-sufficient. We just take care of things ourselves. As a kid, you're just having fun. You're entertaining yourself because, and out on the farm, you don't have a lot of close neighbors. You have other kids on different areas, but they're a long ways off. So you learn to use your mind to entertain yourself. Your common sense to go outside and do something. Of course, we didn't have all the modern technology and stuff they have now. Of course, we didn't want to be inside. We want to be outside. And so you entertain yourself when you pretty much was by yourself. So I used to go out and I just make up things to do. I had no clue what I was doing. I was just having fun. I was making up things to do. And never dawned on me that through all that process of my, very young youth on up through my maturity and all that what I was doing was actually a teaching process. I had no clue it was, So until, I don't know, I guess when all this hit and we started going back through the time and I got thinking, that's what I was doing. I was learning.
But I remember Ray in the neighborhood and how he could kick the ball across, he would kick from one yard across another yard, across the street and into our yard. And so we're talking about when he was 14 years old, was punting the ball between 55 and 60 yards. Not from a line of scrimmage, but just from where he stood.
As you get on up in the grade levels, the higher grade levels, you started coming in contact with sports, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, whatever it might be. But growing up prior to that, we had actually played on our own out in the pastures and things. We really did not get into the organized, controlled sports field until we got on up into later elementary. And then they all got on up into like junior high or high school, whatever it was. So that's pretty much when we got into the organized deal. That's how we got involved in it and got more into it because now it's controlled. We were never taught from an outside agency until we got to that level. But once we started that level, we were pretty well acclimated in our mind what to do. And listening to a coach, discuss certain things about practice and playing and all this stuff like that. We pretty much already knew that. We just had to get it assembled right, in the right way to go with it, and it didn't take long to do that.
My most vivid game is the Statesboro game in 1968, when we beat Statesboro 34-0. By the way, I did catch 7 of his passes that year. None of them was for a touchdown. There was a first down here and there, but our year was, for Skeet and myself, was 1968 when we were seniors after the other boys had gone on to the upper level at their colleges. In the Statesboro game, Ray threw me a pass, and it was a bullet. I did not catch that pass. It sticks in my mind, and I was embarrassed I didn't catch that bullet. But we beat them 34-0.
One thing on this field right here, we were playing Washington Wilkes that in that 67 year. Washington Wilkes undefeated, and at the time, and Ray had some academic problems in one of his courses. His parents his teacher went to his parents, and I was afraid this was going to make Ray quit. I said, no, let me discipline Ray. So I said, I'll hold Ray out of the ball game. I won't start him. So we didn't. And so in the fourth quarter, we recovered a fumble on the 35-yard line. I put Ray in the ball game. He ran the option. he pitched to the halfback, blocked the linebacker, and prevented halfback coming up, and one blocked them both down. A pulling guard got the cornerback. The halfback walks in the end zone for a 35-yard touchdown. He kicks the extra point. We wind up beating them 7-0. Well, since then, we have, in our church, we have a lot of the Washington Wilkes, so even some of the players that's in our church today, that they professional people, and they moved down, and they talk about how lucky we were, and I tell them, if we'd played Ray the whole ball game, it wouldn't have been a contest. I said, we tried to make it a fair contest.
It was just a natural gift. It's a natural ability to, well, I mean, I can see, you asked me how I learned how to punt. I can ask myself, how did I learn to throw a baseball? How did I learn to shoot a basketball? It's just a God-given ability. You know what you're doing. It's just a matter of doing it. And you know, and you got the gift to figure it out how to do it in an easy way, not a complicated way. So how I learned how to punt, something that God gave me. I just took it and developed it. Yeah, I wanted to start. Man, you get that far, man, you want to play, you know. This hand wasn't going to bother me. But I understand Coach Leroy, but the thing about it is, we had such a great unity of players and great talent of players on that team, and we've been together for so long. We come up through the ranks that we knew one another. We knew which one, I mean, we knew what everybody was going to do. And so I really wasn't nervous, but I wanted to play. I wanted to start. I wanted to play the whole game. I mean, I worked my tail off, you know, along with the other guys. I wanted to be out there with them. And so, I mean, I didn't know whether I was going to play or not. And I was sitting there thinking, I was like, Coach, I want to go in. I want to go play. I'm tired of standing over here. That's not where I'm supposed to be. But, you know, that one occasion come up, and we caused a fumble. We got the ball, and it was late in the fourth quarter. And so Coach Leroy put me in. And we ran a one play and gained some good yardage on that. And we had put in some special offensive sets on passing, which we'd never passed. If we passed twice a game, there's something wrong. But we put in some special formation on offense for straight drop back passes. And that's what we call. And I dropped back, and everybody was pretty much covered, and all the rush was acting. My line did a great job from the inside out. You know, it forms a cup anyway. They were forcing them out when they were coming around. And all of a sudden, it's like the Red Sea opening up. That whole middle just opened up. And I don't know what yard, it wasn't far from the end zone, I know that, but I just took off. And about the 1 yard line, I got hit. And as I went down, I took my hand and stuck it down with the cast. That's the one I broke. And pushed myself back up and fell in the end zone and scored. So that was the last play I played.
I was good friends with the coaches at Mississippi Southern, and every year they'd bring him back. We won't give him a shot at the quarterback. Well, they would bring him in, and he was so valuable as a punter. They tell the story that one of his assistants tells a story that they had a freshman. That's when freshmen couldn't play on another field, and the coach told him, the assistant says, "Go over there. They got a punter over there. Go over and check him out and see if you can help him."
Here comes this kid, and I said, "God, I know that guy from somewhere." And I said, "Oh yeah, I remember." You know, and so we started talking, and he's just a low-keyed, laid-back fella. You know, just whatever you want to do. And I said, well, what do you want to do? And he said, well, let's just kick a little bit. And I said, well, that's fine. And there's a game that we call kickback, and both punters line up against each other, and you kick to one another, and what you try to do is force the other one off the football field. And so he went first, and he kicked the ball, and I kind of watched, and I said, golly, that was a pretty good, lucky kick he must have got there. He got the foot on it pretty good. And I had to go back about maybe 3-5 yards to catch it, and I said, well, I'm gonna end this real quick. I'm just gonna go ahead and kick it as good as I can. I hit it, and boy, I hit it perfect. Beautiful ball, you know. Kind of watched it, and he looked like he stepped back about 2 or 3 feet. And I said, darn, didn't go as far as I thought it would. Well, he kicked it again. It looked like an Atlas rocket taking off. I said, good God. And it went up, and it stayed up, and I said, it's got to come down. And finally it started coming down, and I realized right then that it was going to be way over my head. So I started kind of turning, kind of walking back, and then I kind of started running. And before I knew it, I was out of the end zone. So after about 2 kicks, we were done. And I looked up in the stands, and all the coaches up there just laughing their heads off. They knew what was going on, I didn't. So I said, well, y'all think the joke's on me, but guess what? I ain't got to come out here 30 minutes early anymore to kick a football. You got your kicker.
All I want to do was just get the ball out of the end zones. I just want to get it as far as I could down the field, at least to the 50-yard line. That's been my goal. That's always been my goal. That's like my punting average. After every punt, I wanted 40 yards, 4 or 5. That's all I want. Anything beyond that, that's like putting another star in your crown. The field goal, that was right at the half. And who would have thunk? You know, I mean, a blinding snowstorm, that something like that would happen, that you would actually set a record, you know. And it was one of them desperation deals and all. I said, okay, fine. You know, and I was talking to Buddy Palazzo the other day at Hattiesburg when we was finishing up that segment of NFL film. We were talking about that play. Well, Buddy was a quarterback. So when he saw me, when he saw the group coming out, he was assuming what we were going to do was punt. So he started coming off, and I grabbed him. I said, Buddy, get back out there. He said, what's the matter? I got the tee. We're going to try a field goal. He said, you got to be kidding me. No, man, it's right before half. Ain't no big deal. We're going to give it a shot. So, okay. So we get out there, and I lined the tee up, and he comes down, he gets down. I said, now, Buddy, just take the ball and hold it straight up. That's all. I said, I'm gonna give it a ride. I said, may not make it, but we're gonna give it a ride. You know, so when I hit the ball, when it cleared the line of scrimmage, of course, this thing got up. You couldn't see it.
It went through the uprights, landed on the field house, and bounded out into the mountain somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where it went, but you know, we were running around, jumping up and down. It was snowing so daggum hard. Buddy jumps up, turns around and gets in the ref's face. So I start hollering, yeah, that's good. Buddy didn't even know it until he turned, till the ref went this way. He turned around. The guy, I couldn't even see the guy down there. Behind the goalpost. Well, you know, when we used to have kicking drills at Southern Miss, I would always come in and replace Ray on the defense, and he naturally would go over and kick for the kicking team. So I would have my white Southern Miss jersey on. He'd have his blue one, you know, and I'd have put on just a little cover to distinguish that I was with the defensive team. Well, I would always catch the ball and roll down the sidelines because, you know, Hugh and them, they would set up the picket line for me. And I'd break down the sidelines and I'd say, oh yeah, I'm gone. And all of a sudden, all I remember is looking out of the ear hole of my helmet, and I'm over up on the bench by the side of the stadium, and Ray done knocked me into the middle of the next week. And then I would get up and, tell Coach Underwood or one of them, I said, that's not fair. He needs to wear a different colored jersey because I don't see him coming. You know, of course, Ray would always get up, stand over me and say, and I'm gonna hit you like that next time too. I mean, Ray could hit you probably as hard as anybody out there because you never saw him coming. He was like a ghost, more or less.
I had no intention. Now I had thought about it during the week down there at the Pro Bowl, you know, talking about it. and I knew I could hit it. I mean, that's not a big deal. It wasn't that high. It wasn't about 100 foot off the ground. But it all comes down to playing in the game, you know. Now, being a Pro Bowl, I understand that is a different game than the regular season or a playoff game. So we joke around because I think like 2 times a week or twice that week or 3 times, we alternate going in teams, you know, the AFC and NFC. And you play around, you joke around. I mean, there's nothing serious about it. And so back during the game, get started, you're playing. So come 4th down, I went out. And, you know, we had all the guys on the punt cover team have never played. They never play on punt cover team on their regular team. Like Jim Langer from Miami. No, he don't ever play on special team. But he was on that night. So getting the huddle, and I call it, you know, punt on the center, snap, you know, break the hug, go out. So as they were going up to the line of scrimmage, well, I was getting my distance, which is 15 yards. Well, I wound up on a 2-yard line, you know, and I'm standing there and I'm waiting them to get all set and get organized and all this stuff. And Jim Tunney, who's the head ref, was standing over here, right next to me over here. Jim and I were great coaches. He's, you know, and I was looking around at indoors, you know, the Superdome and all that. I just happened to look up. By that time, I heard Jim Tunney say, "You gonna try, aren't you, Ray?" I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna try it," because I didn't tell him, you know. And anyway, but I knew I could do it. But now there again, everything's got to be right in place. Everything's got to be working perfect. But now in the Pro Bowl, the rules do change. They can't block a punt. You can't rough the punter unless he drops it or something like that. So I knew I had a lot of time. All I had to make sure was I got a good drop and the perfect foot alignment and ball placement. So when I hit that thing, I knew I didn't hit it. When I followed through and I looked at it, that ball was perfectly spiraling, going straight up. And so I kept watching it and kept watching it, and it hadn't even nosed over yet. It hadn't even reached its apex yet. It was still going. But when it hit the screen up there, the back point of the ball, not the front point, the back point hit the top edge of the screen. So that tells me if I was a yard back, that thing would have went over the thing. Of course, the rule states is no play replay. If you bring it back and play it again. So that was the only time I've hit it in a game. Now we'll go up. We're gonna move the clock forward to 80, 81 when we play the Super Bowl down in New Orleans. Now the Saturday before, you always go to the field and, you know, light workout and all this. I'm standing there talking with Steve Ortmeyer, Chris Barr, and a lot of other guys, and some guys that works in the dome there. And I said, "Oh, by the way," I said, "you're gonna raise this up, that TV screen." I said, "No, it's okay. You're gonna raise it up. I don't want it there. I don't even know it's there." Because the Pro Bowl was a fun game. This is very serious. This is Super Bowl. This is the championship. "Oh, it'll be fine." Okay. So I went and got the ball bag and I hit it 4 times in a row. Come back out Sunday morning, pregame warm-up, it was all the way to the top of the ceiling. So they eventually took it out. But, you know, that's all the things that I've done in my life and my career and all that, and the things, you know, I've set and all that. That's always the first thing people ask me. Did you mean to hit that? But now it's like a fish story. You catch one like this, and after 25 years, it gets up big. This TV deal now, oh, you hit the ceiling, right, huh? Oh yeah, I just tore the tile plates out the top of the roof. Just a reaction. It was a reaction to a thing that could have been a very negative, critical thing. That's another thing is God gave me plenty of athletic ability to cope with or react to a negative situation. And I just reacted to that bad situation that could have happened. I did not realize at the time, until really after the game was over, really what I had actually done. You know, in that one play, I was very fortunate to go up. Very fortunate, God gave me big hands. Grabbed the ball as I come down, able to position myself in a position to kick the ball and wind up with a 42-yard punt. Tom Flores and I, when we do meet every once in a while, we talk a lot about that play. What could have happened, what the outcome could have been. But it's just something that was my job, you know. I've saved a lot of those boys' lives in my time. Now there's only been one with the Raiders I couldn't catch, but never said anything to them about it. It just happens. But more times than none, I usually wind up saving them. But that's my job, you know. So, and that's something that God gave me, that ability and that to just be able to do things and do it correctly. You know, I'm not saying doing it great, I did it correctly, the way I guess it was supposed to be. So, who said white boys can't jump?